committing to stay in Ansonia. And so Stanley Dairy identified how much they are hoping to invest in their property and business. They produced a lease that identified how long they can commit to stay in town, and they made an application to the city. The tax review board took a look at this, took a look at essentially a matrix that gives them options, and has made a recommendation to the board tonight to essentially extend a 3-year tax abatement that would reduce the future increase of taxes by 30% each year. Now that is for review tonight by this full board of aldermen, and what's being recommended is not a complete approval, but simply to move to the next stage, which would be to legally draft a tax abatement agreement at that level. And that would be brought back to this full board of aldermen at next month's meeting.
Thank you. Any questions for Corporation Counsel John Marini? Thank you. The other half of our dynamic duo, our birthday girl for tomorrow, Sheila O'Malley, Economic Development Director.
All right, thank you, Mr. President, members of the Board of Aldermen. I want to also thank Mayor G, recognize Mayor G. Want a round of applause for her. She did a phenomenal job, and I also want to remind you that Mayor G has to get to bed at a certain time, so we'll try to wrap this meeting up quickly. In the spirit of that, I just want to quickly go through a few things. Our RFQs and RFPs are going out, have been going out the past 2 weeks. There was an RFQ for our BAR grant, which is that Brownfields area-wide assessment revitalization grant, something like that. I'm sorry, trying to rush through it, but that went out. Bids are due back at in the end of September, I think on the 24th or 25th, 24th actually. We had already went out to bid for RFQs for our redevelopment agency, and we did get 2 responses back from 2 nonprofit agencies that have experience with large brownfield remediation projects, so that was encouraging. We are going to go out to bid for blight services for cleanup of blighted properties. The building department doesn't have a strong bench or a large bench to pull from when it comes to cleaning up blighted properties. So we're hoping to get some more competitive prices and some more companies involved in that process. So that'll be going out hopefully this week. Community connectivity, we have a meeting to discuss what kinds of, what changes will be made to Main Street, what kind of enhancements will be made or can be made for the money that we just secured or received through a grant. The mayor has asked that we make application for some road enhancements and improvements to South Cliff Street. And so we'll be doing that shortly. That's a competitive process, but that's how we got Wakely Avenue and Prindle Avenue. Plans are in my office. I'm sure Dr. Stewart would like to see those plans. Let's see. We are Alderman O'Brien. We are meeting with USDA on the 24th. To go over the submittal, the application we had made for funding, and to talk about the plans for the PD. Maybe the chief would like to speak to that in greater detail. But I think that's it for now, unless there's any questions. I encourage questions, as you know. Would love to answer questions. Alderman Stowe.
Hi Sheila, happy birthday tomorrow.
Thank you. Happy birthday to John Marini. Today.
Happy birthday, John Marini.
All right.
You and I had a little discussion about tax incentive,
Yes.
and it used to be dealt with Economic Development Commission,
Yes.
and we changed that a little bit.
I think.
So what is the city's plan on reorganizing that?
Oh, for Economic Development Commission?
Yes.
Yep, because as you know, and thank you for bringing that up, we don't really meet anymore, any longer. wanted to try to repurpose that commission and essentially try to have a, I feel like you're asking me a question, Mike, but essentially have a small mini chamber of commerce. In other words, have a group of folks who will go out to the businesses, connect with them, what's working for you, what isn't working for you, come back to us so we can try to resolve their issues, have more of a connection with the business community. And that's what we're thinking we're going to be doing. And hopefully everyone's still interested. I believe they are.
Well, I know that you're planning something, because you're always plotting and scheming.
Yeah.
Right.
I would look for
In a
different
good way,
ways.
in
but
a
okay.
good way.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm just, for the taxpayers, this meeting will be on video, and I just, we do have an economic development presence. We do.
Yes.
We have a lot of people that are concerned, the mayor, the staff, the aldermen, there's people that have helped all through the years since Mayor
Correct.
Cassetti has been elected, and I know, it's not seen, but it's active, but it hasn't, you guys gotta get it out in the open.
Yeah, we have good members on the board currently. We have this board, which always supports our projects and our efforts for economic development, and I really appreciate that. And I say it over and over again, we all say it, we couldn't do it without this board's concurrence, so.
And I commend this administration with what happened with the armory. I mean, we got the pointing done,
Right.
and you just got $30,000 donated from 3 different businesses, 10,000 apiece. I mean, there's no question you guys are doing your job.
All right, thank you, appreciate that. We're just saying that because it's my birthday tomorrow.
Maybe.
All right, thank you.
Maybe I want some.
All right.
I haven't figured out what it is yet.
Okay, well, we'll try to get it for you. Are there any other questions? All right,
Thank you. Greg Martin, Director of Constituent Services. Come on down.
Thank you, President Vaccaro. Greetings, members, all the members. I just want to give a couple updates. It's a projects that were introduced in this midsummer. This will be kind of a less than 90-day update. Back in early June, the Mayor's Office rolled out an Adopt a Spot program involving about 15 traffic islands, unique properties the city control. And the intent of this is to get businesses, residents, groups to basically adopt the spot in the city, maintain it, landscape it, pick up litter, etc. And the overall goal, purpose is over the course of a year, going to save several hundred hours possibly in public works maintaining these properties, and those hours could go into other infrastructure projects or maintaining the parks. We're probably one of the last cities in the state to introduce an Adopt a Spot program. Pretty much every town in the city has one. Just want to pass along, these are a couple of the first before and after photos, and eventually we'll have a lot of these going around. And each participant in an Adopt a Spot, they will have a large sign created that'll have their business logo on it or their names. They're about 3 feet wide by a couple of feet high. These get installed at every location. And I'm glad to report that today we have 15 spots initially introduced. We've got 12 of them already adopted, so we're very excited about that. Secondly, this Friday is a Chargers home football opener. Nolan Field versus Holy Cross. Will be a dedication of the practice field to the late great football coach Jack Hunt. And everyone is invited to please attend. There'll be a nice little ceremony, and a sign will be introduced dedicating the practice field. And this will take place in the north end zone behind the fence. And lastly, Harvest Festival coming up on 9/29 Saturday. It's run by our Cultural Commission, Rich Carlo, and Ralph Miller is heading it up. As of right now, there's supposedly we have about 120 vendors involved, and they will be lining Bridge Street, almost coast to coast, Bridge Street up to Maple Street, both sides, so.
Tremont Street,
Pardon?
from Tremont Street to Maple.
Okay, yeah, Tremont up to Maple Street Bridge. So, those are my updates. Thank you.
Mr. Martin, what time will the commemoration be for Coach
Oh,
Hahn?
sorry, that'll be 6:30, game starts at 7, so it'll be about a half an hour prior to that. And,
Thank you.
expecting a very good turnout. Please, any former players, friends, family members, so spread the word. I believe Register will have a nice story in there, so I'll put a post as well. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Comptroller Rich Bashira, please.
Good evening, everybody. A little update on some of the things we've been working on. Continuing to work with the Mitel voice over IP system, meeting with Mitel people. We met with the technology committee, discussed what we're looking at, and we're putting together different kinds of numbers and proposals that will hopefully come back to this board next month for approvals. Working, I don't know if everybody's heard, AFD has received an AFG grant for air packs, $342,000, I believe. There should be something coming out that's just happened, and we met the chiefs working together with Scott and Shipmans, putting together a list. We're going to need to come up with some financing because it won't cover everything that we need, so we're trying to get the list together, or at least I'm trying to work the finance side of this. The chiefs and all other staff are working on the needs of the department for the next 15 years, but hopefully by next month we're coming looking for what we need financially and for the ability to approve contracts. We're looking at what the requirements are from the federal government because it's a federal grant. So more to come on that, but we're working on that. Still working on the audit. We've pretty much finished closing out all the small funds, and we're almost done with the general fund and the WPCA funds. We're still working on the depreciation entries and the accruals for the 60-day. QSend over the weekend had some issues with the city website, all the city websites, all the websites they have. So they've addressed those, and they promised that they're going to be making movements. I think they're going to the Google Cloud for better protection, and so I don't know if anybody was trying to get there this weekend, but it was down, up and down over the course of the weekend. We continue to install sonic walls, and hopefully in our hope to upgrade more security for our locations. We just put them down in Public Works, working on an upgrade to the one in City Hall. We have a few others to do. I've also been discussing with Marcia Beno in the Assessor's Office and Vision Appraisal. It's time for an upgrade to that software, and I'm recommending, and we're talking with Vision about going to the cloud. Will allow us to eliminate our Oracle server and do some other things that we want to do, and it'll protect it, it'll back it up, and make it a lot easier. So we'll be coming soon for proposals on that, or at least approvals for what we want to do. Just quickly, the WPCA bills, I believe, went out this month. And so those, we were finishing working up on those and got those out. And we were able to get some liens sold through Cash Creek late in the process, that we were able to get into our 60-day calculation just before the end of August. So that's going to help the numbers for the last fiscal year also. So pretty much that's where we're leaving.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Bashira? Thank you, Rich. Chief Kevin Hale, please, Ansonia PD.
Mr. President, thank you. Very briefly, you may have noticed in the past 2 weeks, we've rolled out a new program called TIP 411. It allows residents to anonymously send information to us. We can converse with tips, we call them, but we'll never know who they are unless they obviously identify themselves. So it's a very strong encrypted system. The ranks are growing with people that signed up, so I would encourage the residents or members of the board, you can go in and sign up. You can pick certain groups, because we can, the other part of this, we can also send out alerts. So if you're on the west side, if you're in business, or what have you, you can sign up for specific groups. We're seeing progressively more tips come in. Some things is an abandoned car, or loud music, or what have you, which we're able to resolve the right way. To more complicated cases, maybe some drug information or some other information like that that we requirement of a criminal investigation. But it is working well so far. We're just, again, encouraging people to sign up. You can go on the city's website, get in from there. The First Baptist Church is doing their third annual Police Recognition Day fundraiser. You know, they were phenomenal last year. They raised $16,000 for us. We were able to purchase ballistic shields for our cruisers, 3 of those, and 6 AEDs for the cruisers. Those were all out being used. This year's event is Sunday, October 2nd. Last Friday, we had a tipper cop at Stopper City Bar and Grill, which was very successful. Got another one this week at Lulu Pazza, and then one next week at Crave. So if you're out and about on Friday night, please stop in. Our officers are guaranteed they're not going to touch your food. They may pour you a glass of water or clean up after you, but they all look good, so that's all that matters. And then, you know, our rules in the department are we're all clean shaven. That's Chief McGrath had that, and I continued that. That's going to change in November. November is No Shave November, and we're all going to grow something to benefit cancer research. So it's a nationwide, it's at least a Connecticut-wide thing. So it's No Shave November, and they've twisted my arm to continue it into December to fund a program that we do around Christmas time, shopping for families at Target. So we're gonna, December 31st, I said, you know, that's it. We come off January 1st, but so you're gonna see some, even me, we'll come in gray and whatever, but we're trying to raise some funds. So that's October. I'm sorry, November 1st.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for Chief Hale? Mr. Stowe?
Right. Chief, it's not really a question. It's Mr. Good and I hope are gonna go to the traffic meeting and talk about some maybe signs that maybe we can think about doing. I just wanna, there's more children that live on that street now than there was years before. And I think that's one of the ultimate concerns of what's going on and needing to try to slow people down, even though they may not be driving as fast as they look like, but they're driving fast enough to hurt somebody. So we need to, we may be going to several of your traffic meetings and you know, we'll be as humble as possible, I'm sure.
There'll be more signs going up. There were signs years ago and they come down earlier, so there are signs going back up.
And when Public Works comes along, I got something that has to do with you. Okay, thank you.
Public Works is coming up right now. Mr. D'Alessio.
Good evening, all. Thanks, Mr. Vaccaro. First off, I know I promised everybody some numbers on tonnage and recyclables and all this for this month. It was a busy month. I was away for a week, had vacation, and death in the family, so I didn't get the numbers completely done. So I promise I'll have them for next month. Besides that, we had a lot of drainage issues, sewer problems this month. We had everybody working. Clark Street, Lock Street, we had a big sewer line, a root grew inside the line, so we had to redo about 130 foot of sewer line, which was, took about a week to do it, 14, 15 foot deep. We had crews out there for a week straight. Significant amount of money. I'm trying to get WPCA to help us out with it, so I'm talking to Nunzio now. Hopefully WPCA can help the town. It was significant, somewhere in the $70,000 range. So hopefully they can help us out, and otherwise, I don't have that kind of money in my budget, so we'll be going elsewhere, but hopefully we can share the cost. We're all doing the striping of the streets. We're almost done. Crosswalks are all done. We're doing stop bars. Hopefully I can do some double yellow lines down some of our streets that are in dire need. We got a flood control inspection Thursday for the Army Corps, so we're trying to get the pump stations greased, ready to go for the Army Corps. So there's just a lot going on. It's rained this year also. It's like the grass is growing unbelievable. I have everybody we own out there doing the parks. have all the soccer fields, football's in session, so we're doing 9 soccer fields, football fields, trying to keep up. With that, we're doing okay with it, but the grass is growing quicker than we can cut it. So, have to have a little bit of patience with us. A little drainage problem on Cherry Street today. Some of the drainage on Cherry Street is flooding out some of the homes. Come to find out today, 4 or 5 clay pipes are broken. So it's another big drainage issue we have in town. This year was a lot of drainage problems, a lot of roads we put in, sewer problems, rebuilding a lot of sewers, storm drains. We did some catch basin work today. So the guys have been very busy. I've been out there with them. I mean, I haven't had time to do much office work, so I've been on the road with the guys. But other than that, that's about it. We're just getting this plow truck's actually ready for, believe it or not, for the fall. It's coming, you know. So Louie and Brucey's out there putting the blades together on the plows, changing the oils, getting the tires, getting the studs ready. Before you know it, we'll be seeing the snow fly. So the mechanics are working on that. So we've been very busy this month. That's about it. You had something, Charlie?
Any questions for Mr. DeLassio?
Mhm.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes, Dave.
2 months ago, we spoke about the dumpster on how you close plastic.
It's still there.
It's still there. I don't know.
Dave, could you use your microphone? We can't hear up here.
Yeah, they were called. That was Cherry Hill. They were called to remove that.
It's Winter Brothers, actually.
It was
when
Cherry
they're
Hill
now.
before. Was
Yeah.
Cherry Hill. So they pulled out. Now they ordered
Winter
another one.
Brothers is there, but they don't have a permit. We have a dumpster ordinance in town here, and they don't meet any of the requirements for that dumpster. They don't have a permit through the Board of Health. I called them today. There's no permit for the dumpster. All I'm asking is they move it. It's an eyesore.
Is it?
It's right on the corner.
Is it in the
I think
driveway or is it?
It's in a parking lot. I think you know where it is. Or you don't know where it is. Yes.
Actually, I haven't really paid attention to it. I know when it was Cherry Hill, we had it removed. And,
No, when you come off of Pulaski, you take a right on the High Acres. It's
Yeah.
right there on the corner. It's a Winter Brothers can. It's always been a Winter Brothers can.
oh, that's.
There's a parking lot there.
Yeah.
All I'm asking is if they could, one, pull a permit and abide to our ordinances that.
Well, that's the smaller can. That's the regular 4-yard dumpster that they use for
And if it's
rubbish.
not you, I can go to somewhere else. I'm just looking for some guidance here to take care of this.
Yeah, that's should be inside of a corral, gated corral. That's
If there's something closed up, so I don't have to stare at it.
I
If
know
you
the
can't do it,
house.
I'll do it for you. I just need a little guidance, that's all.
well, there is an ordinance. It should
There
be-
is an ordinance. I know I
Yeah.
read it the other day.
There is.
Um,
I could contact the homeowner or have maybe Dave
Whatever you need help with,
call.
I'll do it. I'm not looking to ruffle anybody's feathers. I just wanted to, be corrected, that's all.
Yeah, I was thinking it was the 30-yard Cherry Hill that was across the street.
No.
Okay, I was
It's
wrong.
always there.
Yeah, that's the rubbish.
Yeah, sometimes there's rubbish there, sometimes there's couches, sometimes there's.
Yeah, that should be enclosed in a corral.
Yeah.
That's the
And then
ordinance.
hopefully away from the corner, so it does block a little bit of line of sight.
Yeah, we can give them a call. That's.
And if you
I
can,
know
like
the
I said, just
homeowner.
guide me in the right direction, and I'll take care of it. I know you got a lot on your plate.
Well, I'll talk to Blight tomorrow.
Yeah, whatever you need
Oh,
from me.
Okay.
And secondly, I know you talked about, winter's approaching and you're preparing and stuff. Has there been any preparation for next year for the baseball field at Nolan Field? I know we had a lot of issues with drainage and everything this year. Is there any planning or anything that's going into that, or any thoughts?
It's always a money issue.
Of course it is, yeah.
It's and the people. Actually, we should have that going because it's a lot better shape than the other fields. It's dry.
Yeah.
All we really need is clay up there. I mean, I could work on that for spring.
Yeah, if you could do whatever, because I know it didn't drain this year, and we had to relocate at least 3 games. And I know Alderman Rivers, him and I spoke earlier, he has some
Yeah.
questions about the field house.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Like,
Yes, sir.
when you get time, because I know that you're packed up, this spot where Peck School is at
Yeah.
is overgrown again.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know. That's what I said. It's growing quicker than we can cut it.
Yeah, I know.
There's some potholes out there I saw today. I was down that road today actually looking it over.
Okay.
Where we're fixing the storm drain around the corner there
Yeah, right.
in Jackson.
Yeah.
So I was down there. I'm aware of it.
Okay.
I'll get that cut.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. DeLassio? Charlie, Mr. Stowe?
Mike, I went to your meeting last couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And one of the things you didn't bring up tonight was about charging a fee for tires and refrigerators and such,
That's
which would help him have more money to help some of the issues that you fellas are going, because there's not enough horsepower and there's a lot of work. So,
them are the fees I'm working on. That I didn't get a chance to complete this month.
Okay? Well, something I wanna, like, follow up with those fees is,
Yeah.
I know that maybe sometimes it's hard to put fees on something, but in this particular case, we were discussing, when you go to Town Fair Tire and buy 4 new tires, you don't take 4 old tires home and bring them to the
Right.
dump. I mean,
And that's what they're doing.
They take the tires, and that goes along with refrigerators and freezers also, when you go to, whoever.
You see Richards, anybody, they usually take them from you.
They take them from you, so I mean, I think we need to put those fees on there ASAP.
Oh, yeah, definitely, that's a big part of our haul-away fee. The tires, we're dumping 2 a month. That's like $1,500 a month just for tires, refrigerators. It's $1,200.
And they increased their charging by the tonnage.
Right.
And and now we got more tonnage because of the way recyclables are. Is that all correct?
Yeah, actually, Deep, I had to fill out a questionnaire today for Deep. They wanted to know the impaction of what's going on with China's decrease in their recyclables. All the towns are putting surveys, and they want to know what's going on with the recyclables throughout the state. So I just filled out all today and sent it to Deep. Because it's a nationwide problem with, since China's been not taking the recyclables. I guess they're the only ones that bought the recyclables from us. And it's packing up all over the place, and I don't know what we're going to do with it. If there's no market for it, you got to start paying to dispose of it, and that's what's going on.
Exactly.
You know.
So,
And we,
hopefully, as far as the WPCA goes, hopefully we're gonna find a way to have some shared expenditures.
I'm hoping.
As far as Byron Avenue goes, at the entranceway,
Yeah.
when you come off the state road there, I mean, you almost can't tell there's a road there. It's grown in.
It's like a driveway.
That has nothing to do with speeding, but it has the potential of you having a bad accident there, especially.
That house on the right is, they don't cut their grass, they don't trim their bushes out to the road.
Well,
We
isn't
usually
that
do.
in our setback line?
It's not, it is, but
Can you get Fred, because this needs to be taken care of. Can you get Fred D'Amico to go down there and mark the setback lines over there?
And we can
then
take that
go over there
and open it.
just tell those people, I'm sorry, but it's in the road, it's gotta go.
or just open it, we can probably open the road there. I'm gonna go look at that tomorrow after hearing the discussion.
I don't want you to go initiate it and get us in some kind of trouble there. If you mark it, if you have the engineer mark where the setback
Right.
line is, there is no question. And
Yeah.
that's what he's supposed to.
It's
things
about
like
13,
that.
14 feet there,
Well,
it's
just
not much.
Things like that
Right.
is why we have a city engineer,
Right.
right?
Oh, I had them working this week, I had them all over, a lot of different properties, a lot of different problems, just the same as that. Freddie's been working this week, I had him a lot of different locations. But I'll bring them to Byron,
Please-
show them
Please go,
entrance.
we have a petition there, I think it would be wise to clean that up a little bit.
I mean, we could stripe the street too, maybe that'll keep guys on it right and left. I mean, right, the way it is right now, if we striped it, it wouldn't fit 2 cars on the road. Right now, they're almost sharing the same lane, coming in and out, it's tight.
School bus or something in there, you could have a
Right.
bad accident.
Yeah, I'll check that out tomorrow, maybe we can cut that property back and maybe just scrape off make it a little wider.
Okay.
I'll work on it tomorrow.
I'm sorry, but I'll keep on it.
No, it's
It might
fine.
be worth it, maybe we'll be
It's
able to
fine.
do something with WPCA.
I'm hoping so. Work on that for me. All right. Okay.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
Mr. Tripp.
Yeah, Devin, thank you. Mike, just real quick, just to segue off what Charlie was talking about, you mentioned recyclables. So we receive any money at all for recyclables?
No.
That's zeroed out.
Right.
All right. Do we have to pay to have them taken away?
$55 a ton.
All right. And how's that compared to household trash or trash?
80/50. Household trash is 80/50, and recyclables. I never thought we'd ever see this, and this is why Deep is sending out questionnaires for all the municipalities this week to fill out to see what our impaction is with the problems with the recyclables since China stopped purchasing them. And I just filled it out today and sent them back to them. Everybody's having the same issue. They're not. It's almost going to be the same price as garbage. We
No,
still,
I understand. I just,
we still have to recycle because I talked to the lady from the state, seeing it's almost close enough. Could we just throw it in the garbage, and it would cut our costs because they charge us an extra fee for recycling. And they said, no, it's still mandatory to recycle. Even if the fee goes up to where it is for garbage, we still have to recycle. And I'm not sure where we're stacking it. I know it's an issue, and I've been working on it. Hopefully, somebody comes up with some idea that can,
All right.
you know.
For a later date. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay.
Is Mayor G hanging with us tonight? Are you okay? Can we go forward?
Yes.
Thank you. Committee reports, Finance Committee, Mr. DeLibero.
I'll make a motion to accept finance report, all are found to be correct.
Is there a second? Mr. Castellitis, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. We already heard from Public Works. Anything to read? Arms Committee, Mr. Heon or Mr. Shore? Mr. Blackwell, thank you.
For the month of August, ARMS responded to 295 calls for service. Out of the 295s, 18 of them were mutual aid to the 13 to Derby, 3 to Seymour, 1 to Naugatuck, 1 to Shell. The highest receiving hospital was Griffin Hospital, 153 patients, followed by Yale New Haven at 31. And the total billing revenue for the month was $67,931.19.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Blackwell? Okay. WPCA Committee, Mr. Stowe, anything to report?
Yes, which is unusual. We did pass the rate for the 311, and it stayed the same, which is good for the taxpayers. One of the issues we have, Prospect to Lock Street, which I believe Mike says is over 100 feet long to repair. Is that right, Mike? Now, we have charter revision. Is that right, Mr. Marini?
Yes, it's true.
Mr. Marini, I do believe that you actually read some of the last report, Colleen. Who's the attorney? Excuse me?
Bertha Cullinan.
Yes. They gave a report. Did you read it?
I did.
I'm hoping that you can look at it again and look at our charter. I believe that we need to update that. I can't when that report was done, and I don't want to waste people's time here any more than I have, but when that report was done, and you can remember, it looks like you remember well, there was an effort by WPCA to help with a couple of incidents. Now, either you're in or you're out, so now like the 311 project, that was lining pipes and changing, right, and that to me, if that's WPCA work, why wouldn't a 100-foot run, and this is, me personally, how I would do it if I was going to structure it, if we change over so many feet and it's a new change from an old, it's not an old repair, I believe WPCA should either pay a large percentage or the whole bill. Now, there's going to be some kickback because the rest of my colleagues I don't think really agree with me yet. But I don't know, Corporation Council, I need some help here to get this ball rolling because the effort was said that we were going to figure a way out to work together. And this is exactly what I complained about when we were having this discussion about doing something with an agreement. There was no agreement, and then we have a new crisis. And now is a perfect opportunity, I believe, because through the charter revision, you can do something with the charter that'll change the way WPCA operates with Public Works. However, we got to stay in line with the deep. If you read that report,
You have to
deep
follow
has a
the
lot of.
regulations no matter what. Anything we do on the city end has to be in compliance with the state and of course federal regulations as well. We have two roads really here. We have a fork in the road. We can take either one. One is to address this voluntarily with the WPCA, trying to carve out a mutual agreement where, say, a memorandum of understanding or possibly a resolution passed by both boards where we adopt a new way of dealing with each other. And then there's the more drastic route, which is pursuing it for charter revision and changing the charter to the extent, of course, that we're allowed to, given state law and given federal law, to form a new set of new rules about how the two interact. And I would probably advise taking the first route as far as we can before resorting to the second. But charter revision being open, and the process is going to go on once it starts for some time, that's going to at least offer an opportunity there for that last chance, that last opportunity if the other one fails.
Yes, but if there is an agreement and it doesn't go to charter revision, I don't see how we can't put it in charter revision. Because the charter revision is so vague with this right now.
WPCA really is not part of the charter right now. It simply just reflects the general state law about WPCAs. And I believe really the issue that's come up now isn't really due to a portion of the charter, but actually an old agreement between the city and the WPCA. So we certainly can revisit that. I think it still would be binding, but it really memorializing it in the charter is the fail-safe. That way, years and years into the future, you have some security that things can't just be changed.
So, can you look over that report again, please, and then tell us next month, I guess, what you make of it? Because I remember, I noticed, and I'm sure Rich, you may have too. I noticed when that report was all done, given to us as the commission, we ended up out of, I don't know how many people there, 6 or 8 people, and it was like we had 3 different opinions of what we heard. I heard when that was done, and what I read, and the same thing goes with the charter, what I read with the charter ended up being exactly what that report was, so I can count on my hearing a little bit, I think. But the agreement can be changed according to those lawyers by the Board of Aldermen. It didn't say the mayor, it didn't say the commission, it said the Board of, and that's what I believe it said. And this Board of Aldermen is going to finalize a charter revisions if we make any, and then it's going to get elected, by the electoral. The voters are going to make a decision. And I really think that's what's going to have to happen, because I think that the wording is going to have to be crystal clear. You can't really decide, I'll help you with this, but I can't help you with that. That's not, city government can't operate like that.
And remember, the alderman can study an issue and make an additional recommendation to charter revision. So if we want to have our group start studying it first, we would just have to figure out what is the appropriate committee to start looking into this. Is it our WPCA committee here on the board? I don't mean the WPCA commission. I mean the aldermen assigned to really be assigned to that commission, assigned to studying it, assigned to following it. Maybe it could begin there, making some recommendations back to this board and making the recommendations to charter revision. So it's really vetted and really looked at.
That's a good idea. You will review that for us?
I'll start, we can start there.
Right.
That's going to determine really the law, what can we do, what are our options? There's certainly going to be different options, and then the question is going to be, do you want, and I think it's a good thing, that input from the WPCA Commission during that process?
Oh, absolutely. Just got to get them going in the right direction, I think. One more issue, WPCA. Peck School, when it got taken by the city, there is just say $13,000 back fees to the WPCA that didn't get paid. And the commission wants to know if they're going to be able to recoup that money. I said I would ask if there was going to be, is the city going to be able to sell that property, or did we leave that open space? I cannot remember.
because we used the bond money, we did have an understanding that it would be used for a public purpose. And so whether it be simply open space, whether it be on parking lots, it would not be sold to another developer. So we would not be able to recoup that money. If we were able to sell it in some way in the future, if that was to be a possibility, certainly paying back any outstanding lien would be a priority. But we did this with the understanding that it would not be sold in that manner.
So would you, is it recorded in the deed?
It's not recorded in
That
the,
if something ever happens and that does get sold for some reason?
we could, I think maybe the Alderman could have a resolution that we record on the records, but given that we used bond money, that restricts us from using it in a way that we sell it commercially.
So the city didn't recoup any money from the back taxes either?
No, exactly. It was simply.
No, and you know, Charlie, this is a good point. It's all taxpayer money. So whether WPCA is looking for money from the city or the city, I mean, we all should be working together for the taxpayers. And so, you know, the city taxpayers used bond money to purchase that building and demolish it. Right? So it's for the residents. So it's almost like you're charging yourself when you do things like that.
Well, the city didn't get any of their tax money back.
We
It's a
didn't.
loss.
We
It's
spent-
a loss. It's a loss as far as that goes. And same thing with the other city department, the WPCA commission. I assume what you're saying is because of the situation, they're not going to recoup money of that either. I have to ask this question in a way that I can bring it back.
No, I
to the
get it, and I'm
commission,
not-
right, Richie?
yeah, and I'm not
The
trying
question was, how do the liens get released and it's all taxed as WPCA? Their bills haven't been paid, so did the city release liens on the tax also? How did the title transfer with liens still there, did they get released? That was the original question, is they wanted to write it off, Rita wanted to write it off.
Okay.
So we can work with WPCA to figure out how to write it off properly. That would be the best course of action.
Right,
How to
thank
reflect it on your books.
you very much.
Thank you.
God bless you, Charlie.
Fire Committee, Mr. Schuler.
All right, the fire department responded to 45 calls in the month of August, highlighted by structure fire, vehicle fire, a cooking fire, 2 gas leaks, 4 CO investigations, and 9 motor vehicle assists for a total of 45 calls. The fire marshal also conducted 12 annual inspections and 7 construction inspections. And I wanted to note that the annual blessing of the trucks will take place around noon this weekend, Sunday the 16th at Warsaw Park. It's a very nice event, regardless of whether you're involved in that. Again, that's right around noon on the 16th. And then Richie already mentioned the large grant that came in, the department received for the air packs. So I just wanted to thank Richie, the city, Eileen, and the grant writers, and the fire chief, and the department themselves for all the work on that. That's huge.
Yeah, that was a great job.
That's it.
Real accomplishment.
Question?
Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, Mr. Tripp.
Josh, can you just expand on that? The air packs, is this going to cover all the needs? It was
So-
going to be bonded next year, or?
So as he explained, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it's going to be a little short of the total amount that was requested. So this is the air packs they expire, I think in January.
Right.
All of them at the same time. And I want to say that the number was about 500,000 was about the
Right.
total need
Right.
to replace all that. And this grant was about 350.
Oh, that's good.
So we'll be a little short, but it was the last year. They've applied, 3 or 4 years in a row. And just got notification this weekend, so.
Oh, good stuff.
Pretty close to the.
Very
total
critical
amount.
item, too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Josh.
Okay, the Ordinance Committee, Mr. Yaman is not here, so we'll skip to the Housing Committee, Mr. Cassetti.
Yes, for housing, it was held on the 22nd of August at 6:30 here The finance report was read and accepted and moved immediately to Steve Nagano, the executive director report. He mentioned that they're awaiting word on the 2018 safety and security grant. That's for Woodlawn, and I think I spoke about this before, where they're going to vent all of the cooking areas at Woodlawn. The appraisals are being scheduled for properties that are that they're viewing for redevelopment. So this is future redevelopment funding is being researched, and signs for the no smoking policy that they've instituted have been posted at 70 Woodlawn and at the 75 Central Street. The compliance coordinator Carol Mobilia mentioned on vacancies that there are 4 vacancies at O'Donnell and 1 at Stevens. There are no vacancies otherwise. They've got almost a full boat. A parking policy was adopted, and I think I mentioned it before, that there weren't enough parking spots to equal the amount of residents that were there. But there's going to be a sticker that's going to be applied to anybody that owns a car there. The vehicles must be currently registered in the city of Ansonia. It must be insured and belong to the resident. Otherwise, they will be towed. There's going to be a monthly spot check of the parking lots by a appointed tow company that will go in. If they don't see a properly stickered vehicle, they're going to tow it. There will be some hang tickets that will be passed out to those people that come in and service the elderly there if they need to be taken care of. They'll have a hang sticker. There's also been a rental increase at the John J. O'Donnell housing for Section 8 people. It's a modest increase. Well, I think that was about it. They went into executive session, but as soon as they came out, they just adjourned.
Thank you.
One question.
Mr. King?
Alderman Seti, the grant you mentioned for the ventilation of it with lawn.
They're very close to getting it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's close, it's not. Is this a grant, is this another thing to study what they already know is wrong?
No.
Or is this going to actually?
No, this is to actually
Construction.
initiate, yeah. Yeah, they're working with the fire marshal. Everybody who should be involved is involved in this, so.
Because there's been more incidents with fire alarms in the
Yeah.
complex that's been an issue. Things are going off, I mean,
How long have the
the
signs been up?
maintenance cycle issue.
This month.
Oh, this one. Has there been a reduction at all in the?
Yes,
calls?
there's resistance. But, it's a rule now.
No, has there been a reduction in calls?
In the calls?
Yeah.
Probably 1 per week, probably.
I see they're still coming. That's right.
Yeah.
They changed the no smoking policy, which he's referring to, and now we find in the complex that they said, well, you can't smoke, but vape is okay. Everyone's common now, you see maybe those are setting the things off.
The vape?
Yeah.
Gee,
We had 2 calls last week
from
from the
Vape?
70-foot one.
Vape
And
is
then
in-
there was,
That's a nice-
somebody went to heat up a pizza, and, smoke pouring out of the oven, filled the building.
Yeah.
What I'm afraid of is that with so many false alarms, the response times or notice of these
Sure.
things is gonna go down.
It'll become really relaxed,
And
which could cost
that's
people
gonna
somebody
open
their
up to
life.
something happens. So
Sure.
hopefully we do get this grant and they can fix the problem. They know what's wrong. They just, there's no, for anyone that doesn't know, there's no ventilation at all in the kitchens. There's
Well,
no
they weren't
bricks
in
over the
favor of it
stoves.
at first. They were not in favor of it.
Yeah,
But
if
now-
this was a private residence, you'd be in violation of fire code. There's no hood, there's no vent, there's no fan. And the residents are getting flagged, they're actually getting complaints sometimes from the fire department.
Yeah.
They have to respond. And lot of times it's no fault
Right,
of
it's
their
not
own. They're
their-
just doing things you'd want to do in your house. So hopefully we get that soon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Impressive.
One
Thank
other
you.
thing, how did you determine which tow company will be coming in there?
That's got to do with the housing authority. I'm not sure what the criteria for choosing one is. I could find out and see what they have to say. Maybe it's, I don't know, does the housing authority actually have a tow vehicle
Right, right.
themselves? Might be the way to go. We'll see.
Okay,
Okay, I'll talk to them about it.
thanks.
Yep.
Any other committees? Mr. Philippou.
Technology met the 28th of August, along with the Comptroller, Mr. Bashir, and Chief Yan, with a presentation from Total Communications about possible upgrades to the city's phone system. I know they're working on a proposal for October's meeting, and hopefully we'll have that for you guys.
Thank you. Municipal reports. Do I have a motion to accept municipal, the board recommendations and controller approvals?
So,
Mr. Castellitis, and second by Mr. Blackwell. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Land Use Department report. I'd like to just indicate that the Blight Department took in $9,336.75 revenue for August. And thus far, blight enforcement from this fiscal year, total of $24,860. There a motion to accept this report? Mr. Cassetti, second by Mr. DeLibero. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Tax collector report, request of Mr. Castellitis.
Motion to accept the tax collector's report and request for refunds in the amount of $7,128.10 if found to be correct.
There a second? Mr. Stewart, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Castellitis,
Motion to refer all accidents to Claims Corporation Council.
is there a second? Mr. Rivers, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. There are no communications. Under resolutions, it's not a resolution, but it's regarding Stanley Dairy, and Mr. Marini already spoke about this. Mr. Cassetti, had your hand up?
Well, yeah, if we could make a motion for council to legally draft a recommendation for the tax incentive for Santee Dairy.
Second.
Are there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Stewart?
So in that, the older document that was sent to us, talks about continuing the program. So there's a 35-day window to approve. Is that from today, or is that from when the approved draft?
We're going by the point of review. So we talked to Stanley Dairy when they initially submitted, which was back some time ago. They didn't have all the information in place. Specifically, we needed the lease, and we needed to have a real calculation of what funds that they were going to put into the business and the property. So once we got that, just recently, we put it onto the agenda. So we're talking about going forward from, I would mark yesterday's date, the date that the tax review committee took it up.
Thank you. Okay.
Did we vote on it?
We already voted on it, right? Yeah. There are no resignations, appointments. See the mayor's letter dated September 6th for the Cultural Commission. We have,
Mr. President, point of order.
Yes.
I have a question, sir. Ms. White, it's my understanding that she's a Republican. It has listed here unaffiliated.
I think you're right, Mr. Tripp.
She is a registered Republican.
No, I don't believe that is correct. I have to check that.
You don't believe, all right, I have a conundrum, I have a question here. Ms. Crystal White, 183 Wakely Avenue. I was at the Republic Convention last year in the Armory, and I thought I watched her as a voting member of the Republican Town Committee. and I thought I watched her vote.
I think you're right, Mr.
Unless I'm
Chair.
totally mistaken. Is that?
I think you're right.
Mr. Rivers? Thank you. So she is a registered Republican, correct?
I think you're right, yes. So
Thank
maybe we
you.
should table this?
Well, or reflect in the public record, however you want to work it, but I just want an R next to the name, that's all.
Question is, what is correct? What is the correct party affiliation? So what I would say is that you could approve the appointment. If it affects the constitution of the committee, we would have to revisit this. I would have the clerk confirm this first thing in the morning to see what the proper... Now, this is actually this is a reappointment, so it's someone who's already been on. If it doesn't affect the constitution of this board, then I would go with the appointment regardless of what the affiliation is. But let's confirm for the record what the affiliation is and get that correct.
Right, so pending the verification of her party status, we can vote on this tonight. Mr. Tripp, thank you for your information. I think you're right on that.
Yeah.
So we have a motion to appoint Crystal.
I make a motion
Mr. Rivers,
to appoint.
is there a second to reappoint? Second by Mr. Blackwell. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. We have an opening on the Recreation Committee. I believe a reappointment for Sandra Piccirillo. I have her as an unaffiliated voter of 9 Allen Drive, Ansonia. We have a motion to appoint
I make a motion.
Mr. Rivers, second by Mr. Castellitis. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Nothing under ordinances tonight. New business. Any new business, gentlemen? Any new business? Any old business? Okay. No executive session. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Mr. DeLibero.
Motion to adjourn.
Second by Mr. Schuler. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.